He was a man of paradoxes, a devout Muslim who ruled a vast Hindu-majority empire, a military genius who spent decades on the battlefield, a patron of the arts and a stern enforcer of law. This is the story of Aurangzeb Alamgir, the sixth Mughal emperor, whose long and tumultuous reign forever changed the course of Indian history. But who was the real Aurangzeb? Was he the religious zealot and tyrant that many portray him as? Or was he a shrewd, capable administrator, a warrior king trying to hold a fragmenting empire together? Today, we're going to cut through the myths and controversies to uncover the complex reality of the man who shaped India's fate. Born in 1618, Muhyiddin Muhammad, later known as Aurangzeb, was the third son of the Emperor Shah Jahan, the builder of the Taj Mahal. From a young age, Aurangzeb was a standout. He was intelligent, disciplined, and possessed a remarkable military aptitude. While his brothers, especially the designated heir Dara Shikoh, enjoyed the luxuries of the court, Aurangzeb was sent to govern the most challenging provinces of the empire, like the Deccan. These early experiences weren't just a test. They were a forge, shaping him into a battle-hardened commander and a seasoned politician. He learned to navigate treacherous court politics and lead vast armies in complex campaigns. This was a man who, at the tender age of 16, faced down a rampaging war elephant in a public spectacle. An act of courage that earned him the title Alamgir, or Conqueror of the World. It was a title he would spend the rest of his life trying to live up to. The mid-17th century was a precarious time for the Mughal Empire. In 1657, Emperor Shah Jahan fell gravely ill, and the simmering rivalry between his four sons erupted into a full-blown war of succession. It was a brutal winner-takes-all contest for the peacock throne. Dara Shikoh, the favorite, was a Sufi-inclined intellectual, popular at court, but lacking his brother's military prowess. Shuya in Bengal and Murad in Gujarat also made their bids for power. But it was Aurangzeb who proved to be the master strategist. He formed a temporary tactical alliance with his younger brother Murad, and together, they marched on the imperial capital, Agra. In a series of decisive battles, most notably the Battle of Samyugar, Aurangzeb's superior military tactics completely outmaneuvered Dara Shikoh's larger army. He defeated and eventually executed his brothers, imprisoned his own father in the Agra fort, and in 1658 crowned himself Emperor of Hindustan. His path to the throne was paved with blood and betrayal, a ruthless display of ambition that was, unfortunately, a grim tradition in Mughal succession struggles. Now on the throne, Emperor Aurangzeb Alamgir began one of the longest reigns in Mughal history, lasting nearly 50 years. His primary goal was to consolidate and expand the empire, and expand he did. Under his command, the Mughal Empire reached its zenith, its greatest territorial extent, stretching from the snowy peaks of Kashmir to the fertile plains of the south. He annexed the kingdoms of Bijapur and Golconda in the Deccan, wealthy sultanates that had resisted Mughal authority for generations. This brought the entire subcontinent, except for the very southern tip, under a single political authority. It was an administrative and military achievement of staggering proportions. To govern this vast territory, Aurangzeb proved to be a tireless and meticulous administrator. He was known for his work ethic, spending hours each day personally overseeing state affairs, reading petitions, and dictating orders. Unlike his predecessors, he lived a remarkably austere and pious life. He abstained from alcohol and lavish entertainment, and he was a skilled calligrapher who famously sewed prayer caps and copied the Quran to pay for his personal expenses. He saw himself as a custodian of his people's welfare, and his administration worked to enforce justice and maintain law and order across the sprawling empire. He was a micromanager, and for a time, this approach worked, centralizing power and streamlining the bureaucracy. However, this same dedication would also sow the seeds of future problems. But Aurangzeb's legacy is most fiercely debated when it comes to his religious policies. As a devout Sunni Muslim, his personal faith deeply influenced his rule. He reversed the more syncretic and liberal policies of his great-grandfather Akbar. He reimposed the jizya, a tax on non-Muslim subjects that had been abolished a century earlier. He also curtailed court music and, according to some sources, ordered the destruction of a number of Hindu temples. This is where the historical narrative becomes incredibly complex and contentious. Modern historians point out that the situation was not so black and white. While some temples were indeed destroyed, these were often in territories of rebellious Hindu chieftains, and the destruction was as much a political act of punishment as a religious one. At the same time, Aurangzeb's administration also gave out land grants, or jagirs, to many Hindu temples and continued to employ a large number of Hindus, particularly Rajputs, in the highest levels of his government and army. In fact, the number of Hindu nobles in the Mughal administration was higher under Aurangzeb than under any of his predecessors. He was a man of deep contradictions, a ruler who sought to enforce a stricter Islamic code while simultaneously relying on the cooperation of his diverse non-Muslim subjects to run his empire. These policies, regardless of their intent, alienated significant segments of the population and fueled resentment that would have long-lasting consequences. Perhaps the greatest challenge of Aurangzeb's reign came from the south, from the rise in power of the Marathas, led by the charismatic and brilliant warrior, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaja. Shivaji carved out a kingdom in the rugged Western Ghats, right in the heart of Mughal territory. His guerrilla tactics, lightning-fast raids, and appeal to Hindu identity posed a direct challenge to Aurangzeb's authority. For years, Shivaji ran circles around the massive Mughal armies sent to subdue him. The conflict between these two great figures, Aurangzeb the emperor and Shivaji the rebel king, became the stuff of legend. Even after Shivaji's death, the Maratha resistance continued, morphing into a widespread war of independence. In 1681, Aurangzeb made a fateful decision. Frustrated by the endless rebellion in the Deccan, he moved his entire court and a colossal army to the south, vowing not to return to Delhi until the Marathas were crushed. He would spend the last 26 years of his life in a series of grueling, relentless campaigns. He captured Maratha forts, defeated their armies in open battle, and even captured and executed Shivaji's successor, Sambhaji. But he could never extinguish the flame of Maratha resistance. The war became a quagmire, a bleeding ulcer that drained the imperial treasury and manpower. The emperor, now an old man in his 80s, was constantly on the move, living in a massive tent city that served as his mobile capital, chasing an enemy he could never fully defeat. When Aurangzeb died in 1707 at the age of 88, he left behind an empire that was vast on the map, but was internally fractured and financially exhausted. His long absence from the north had allowed regional powers to grow stronger, and his Deccan wars had bled the empire dry. After his death, his sons immediately fought another bloody war of succession, further weakening the central authority. The Mughal Empire began a long, slow decline from which it would never recover. Within a few decades, it had shattered into a patchwork of competing states, paving the way for the rise of the Marathas, the Sikhs, and ultimately, the British East India Company. So how should we remember Aurangzeb Alanger? He was not a one-dimensional villain, nor was he an unimpeachable saint. He was a product of his time, a formidable warrior, a brilliant strategist, and a dedicated, if stern, ruler. He expanded the Mughal Empire to its greatest extent, but his policies and endless wars also precipitated its rapid decline. His legacy is a mirror reflecting the complexities and contradictions of India itself. He was the last of the great Mughals, an emperor whose ambition, piety, and relentless drive shaped the destiny of a subcontinent, leaving behind a legacy that continues to be debated and reinterpreted to this day. His story is a powerful reminder that history is rarely simple, and the figures who shape it are often as complex and contradictory as the worlds they inhabit. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey into the life of Aurangzeb interesting, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into history. Let us know in the comments what you think about Aurangzeb's controversial reign. See you next time.